Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and this is going to be my card for this week's Color Throwdown Challenge, which I will have linked in my blog post. So I am starting with some Canson MONTVAL watercolor paper. My video yesterday used this paper and it was still sitting on my desk, so I was like, gonna use it again. So I pulled a piece of that out, and then I have the Pretty Pink Posh Geraniums stamp set that I showed in a recent haul video. And I lined up all of the images in the set in my travel stamp platform. I used my anti-static powder tool first. That just kind of helps prevent the embossing powder from clinging to anything but the stamped image. And then I'm stamping all of these with Ink on 3's Juicy Embossing ink. And then I'm going to coat them with Simon Says Stamp's Detail White embossing powder. And once I have all of these coated, I can melt them with my heat tool. And since I'm doing white on white, I melt it with my heat tool and then I tilt it back and forth in the light to make sure that everything is smooth and raised and glossy. If there's any dull areas, I blast those with my heat tool again to make sure they're completely embossed. So after I did that, I've super sped this up. I just did my standard, have my laptop by me, got Friends on Netflix. I'm still working my way through the series again. You know, the type of shows that I can just mentally kind of tune out almost in a way. That's what I kind of like to do when I'm doing a lot of coloring and filming and whatnot. Something that I can't watch shows that I am, you get like involved in and then I'm not getting any work done. So that's what I've been going on lately, is another little Friends marathon. So anyway, I had that going while I did my watercoloring. I kept the watercoloring very simple. I really wanted to do these geraniums in like pinky peach. Those are like my favorite geraniums. But this week's Color Throwdown Challenge is red, green, and gray. So I'm doing red geraniums. So all I did was wet the area with clean water first. And then I'm using my Pinkfresh liquid watercolors because that's my latest little phase. And I just used the one color. I'm just using the red, which I think they call, is it carnation red is what they call it? I have it sitting here right for a candy apple. I don't know why I'm like stuck on flowers lately. So I would just wet the area with water first, and then I was picking up the liquid watercolor, tapping it in the center, and then I would kind of pull it out a little bit more with my brush. And that was it. Really, really simple. Nothing too fancy, no blending of colors or anything like that. For the greens, I did blend the two greens together just to deepen it a little bit to get it closer to the shade of green I wanted. Really quick and simple because there's just the two leaf images and then these two flowers that have the stems on them. And same thing. Wet the area first with water, picked up the liquid watercolor, kind of tapped it in, and then like pulled it out. I let everything dry completely before I use the coordinating dies, and I'm going to tape all those into place just with washi tape, making sure everything's taped really good and secure, and then I'm just going to run these through my die cutting machine so that all of these are die cut in one pass. And then after I was done all of my die cutting, I'd trimmed down some white cardstock, and I'd pulled out the Pretty Pink Posh Hello Friend script wafer dies, which were just big enough, or just small enough, I guess, to be able to fit these cardstock strips through my little Xyron X sticker machine. So I can coat all of these pieces of white cardstock with this because I wanted to stack my sentiment dies. So I'm going to have 3 layers of each die cut. So rather than sit and fiddle with a liquid adhesive, if they fit through my little sticker makers, it just, saves me the time and effort. So I ran the cardstock through the sticker maker and then die cut all of these. So I have all of my die cuts with adhesive on the back, and then all I have to do is peel off that backing and stack them together, which again, it gives me more wiggle room because this adhesive, it's sticky, and yet I can, reposition things and move them around until you press down firmly, and then it's, adhered. So depending on just my mood and what I'm doing, etc., I find this is a lot easier to work with than fiddling with liquid adhesives half the time. So I stacked all of these, the hello and the friend and the little dot for the eye, 3 layers deep, and then I can adhere these to my finished panel. So after I was done all of my stacking of these dies, or die cuts, I had die cut some gray cardstock with My Favorite Things mini stitched mini stitched scalloped rectangle. Mini stitched scalloped rectangle wafer die. And then I'm going to kind of arrange my little flower cluster on here. And then once I was kind of happy with my arrangement, I can adhere I adhered the friend first, and then I had to save the hello because it's going to kind of go over one of the flowers. So I just pressed that down after I'd peeled the backing off, and then same thing with the little dot for the eye. And then for the flowers themselves, I'm just going to adhere them with Nouveau liquid adhesive. I did think about putting, popping things up with foam tape, but I'm going to pop this main panel up with a little bit of foam tape. Plus these have their own dimensions since they're all separate pieces and they're all die cut. So I would just squeeze a little bit of the adhesive down and then adhere all my little elements into place. And then once this glue dries, these aren't going anywhere. So die cut, are adhered all these little die cuts into place, and then once I get the final little flower in place, I can then adhere the hello sentiment right on top of that and then press everything down really, really well. And once I've got that pressed down, I'm going to coat the back of this panel with Simon's brand of foam tape, which I've used in a ton of videos. This roll is still going on strong. I think I've used up I haven't even used up half of it, and I use a ton of it. Yeah, I haven't even used half of it yet. It's thinner than the Scotch foam tape if you're familiar and use the Scotch foam tape. This is about half as thick. So again, it just depends on my mood, whether or not how much I want things popped up. So I just wanted a little bit of dimension this time. So that's why I used this foam tape instead of my Scotch foam tape. Coated the back of this, and then I'm going to pop this onto my card base, which is heavyweight white cardstock, and it is a standard A2 size card, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then for the sentiment on the inside, I'm using the Pretty Pink Posh Thoughtful Greeting stamp set, and I inked up the sentiment with Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide instead of black, since I didn't use any black ink on the front of the card. I didn't want the harshness on the inside, and I actually forgot I still had die cut flowers to put inside the card, so I was stamping the little hearts from the same set with Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink, and then remember those flowers were sitting right in front of my face, so I adhered those as well, and you can't go wrong with little hearts, so I was fine with those still being there. And then adhered those little flowers, and then of course I had to add just a little bit of bling, nothing too crazy. I have some Studio Katia snow crystals, and I'm going to just adhere those to the centers of all the flowers. I thought they would just kind of look nice and just kind of make the little, dots over the center of their flowers just pop a little bit more. So I would just put down little blobs of that Nouveau adhesive and then stick my little crystals and whatnot right into there. And then when this adhesive dries, it's clear, and I wouldn't say it's shiny. It's kind of between shiny and matte. Like once it's completely dry, it's not noticeable. So adhered all of the snow crystals to the flower centers. And then for some final embellishment, I pulled out the Studio Katia May Crystal Mix, which is green crystals, just to kind of really pull out the green as part of this color combo. Plus, I just thought it would be pretty. So I kind of sprinkled those rather liberally on my card as well, and adhered those, same thing, just using little dabs of the Tonic Nouveau glue, picking those up with my little jewel picker, and that's going to finish off my card. So as always, there will be a link below the video to my blog post. I'll have a link to the color challenge. I will have a supply list and links to everything I used if you are interested. You can just check out the description box below. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting on my videos, and I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye!